What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, thanks to the outstanding team over at ShowZ, we're going to be checking out this pre-production sample of the Transform and Rollout Commander of the Stars Galaxy Upgrade Optimus Prime. Now, for those of you looking to pick one of these up, I'll of course be sure to include a pre-order link down in the description box below. I believe he's going to retail for roughly $150 US, so that is definitely something worth bearing in mind. But as we get stuck here into the box art, we have a sick product shot there of Galaxy Upgrade Prime. We get an image of the regular Prime, and as we come around to the back, we have a whole host of product shots, including a whopping 5 modes. So we have the regular Prime, the vehicle mode, and then 2 which are slightly strange. Basically, the wings are splayed out for this flight mode, and then we have the artillery mode, which is the wings detached from the truck. So I'm not sure if I'm going to showcase these ones, as they're pretty self-explanatory. And then, of course, we have the Galaxy Upgrade Prime himself with all of the attachments looking really sick. We don't tend to get that many third-party Cybertron toys, so very much so looking forward to this guy. Now, we're going to get him out here and see how he actually stacks up in hand. So here we have him as he'll come packaged in his vehicle mode. Now, just as a disclaimer going forward, this was specifically sent to me as a pre-production sample, and it came with a whole bunch of notes of things of which are going to differ between this sample and the final mass release product. But don't worry, guys, I'll be sure to talk you through all of those differences as we progress with the figure and the transformation, etc. But one thing was mentioned would be the inclusion of the Cyber Planet key. Now, I believe this is going to be a distributor exclusive. I am aware that ShowZ are going to be carrying this, so if you order this guy through ShowZ, you will get this as kind of a bonus exclusive, and looking sick. Really nice paintwork, love the transparent blue as well as the Autobot logo, and this does act as the magnet which will activate the LEDs, so definitely quite a handy piece to have. And we also do get this collector's card which has an awesome image of Galaxy Prime and some pretty sweet statistics here at the back. But getting stuck into the figure himself, I mean, straight away, easily recognizable as the Cybertron Optimus Prime, and this thing is enormous. Now, I personally don't own the original toy that came out years ago. I only have the Siege version, so I'll be unable to give you a direct comparison between the two. I am aware there are some similarities in regards to the engineering, but again, not 100% certain, so if you guys know, please let me know down in the comment section below. But as we just pick this thing up, it is so weighty. There is a ton of die-cast in this figure, especially in the legs of the bot mode. But here for the front of the cab, I love the way this has been sculpted and painted, very nicely done. And as we just take a look at it here from a side perspective, you can see those enormous cannons, which too have got some pretty decent detail. Maybe would have been cool had these been completely chromed out or perhaps sprayed in a nice metallic silver, but overall, not looking too bad at all. I like the tubing detail, and the wheels are fully rubberized, meaning this guy can literally transform and roll out like a dream. I mean, he can glide along the ground with absolute ease. Now, a minor qualm I have here with my copy when in vehicle mode would be that he kind of feels a little floppy when you pick him up, and it's because the front cab does ratchet due to transformation, and I just wish maybe it could have locked in a little more securely. I mean, if you hold it via the cab, this entire section here is just going to start misassembling, so I am hoping they can come out with kind of a locking mechanism or maybe a little tighter ratchet joint. But overall, definitely not a big deal, and here is what it looks like from a bird's eye perspective. Now, we're going to get stuck into these cannons. So they are very big, fully ratcheted, so you can move these any way that you'd want, up and down, completely extendable. But as we bring back in the magnet, you can hover it over and it will cause the LED to activate. Now, both of them have 3 modes. So here we have this very erratic blinking effect. The next one is a slightly slower, almost pulsating effect, and then the final mode is basically just a static LED, and you can see for this one we get the red and all of the blue, and this specific cannon can open up, which I think is so awesome. You can just imagine this charging up and firing at Megatron, which I thought was really sick, and then finally it does simply just turn off. So as I demonstrate it here on the opposite, it's basically the same, although this time we have a singular LED, so again an erratic pulsing effect, a slightly slower version, and then finally a static nice blue. So very cool. Let's jump into a few comparisons. So first up, we have him alongside the only other version of Cybertron Prime I own, that being the Siege version. And whilst there is a slight difference in terms of scale, it's not by much, which isn't so much the case when we get these into robot mode. So definitely bear this kind of scale in perspective. This third-party version goes through some massive mass shifting, but I just thought that'd be quite an interesting comparison to have. Here he is compared alongside the Earthrise Leader Class Optimus Prime. Just so again you guys can roughly gather a sense of scale, a massive piece. Definitely would, I'd say, classify as a commander class. I'd love to give you guys some Cybertron comparisons, but as I said previously, I don't unfortunately own any of those figures in the collection. Now, getting stuck into the transformation, as showcased on the back of the box, technically this has 5 modes, one of those being the wings splayed out in the vehicle mode. I'll basically just pop an image up on screen as it's pretty self-explanatory, and then the other being this whole assembly detached away from the trailer, which you guys are going to see anyhow. So to kick start things off, you're going to want to take these wings and hinge them out to the back. and then we basically just take this rear assembly and slide it away from the main cab. So there you can see, without that whole wing assembly, he's looking a little lanky and slightly strange, I'm not going to lie, but overall not too bad. And then these pieces too are a separate component which will just detach and set off to the side. Now the actual transformation for Optimus, I was pleasantly surprised to see, is not complex. I was thinking this was going to be super intricate, but it's actually not. So first up, you're going to want to come here to the legs and just split these sections like so. Now as we come around to the back, this is where one of the changes are going to happen. So on my copy, you guys can see we have these black pieces which are supposed to fold and tab into these sections. For whatever reason, they're going to scrap these on the official version. Not too sure why. I think it's due to stability when you get this guy in combine mode, as they do kind of stick out from the base of the foot. But just hinge these in and they'll rest into place. I mean, to be honest, you don't need them as the grip is more than adequate. You'll then want to take the wheels and just slide those into place. Come to this side and do the same. We can then flip out the toes and then split the legs. We can then come up to the cab and just ratchet this section down. This was the area that I mentioned when in vehicle mode being a little loose. I just wish it could have locked in a little better. We can then take the skirt piece and hinge this section up. You'll then want to take this grey section, and we may as well touch base with the matrix now. He does come with a removable matrix, so this has been painted and sculpted really nicely, and as you would expect, also does have an LED feature, so using the Cyber Planet key, we can activate that, which I thought was pretty cool, and it also will pulsate, so very nice inclusion, but we'll just snap that back in there for now. So you'll bring this piece forwards and then pull this section down, and it will basically flip out the abs, which I thought was kind of cool. We'll then take the chest windows, bring these around, and snap those into place. You'll then want to come here to the back of the vehicle and extend this section here forwards, and then split these sections and angle them out to the sides. What that will then allow us to do is just bend these around just like that. We can then take these sections here, disengage those, and they are on ball joints, bring those down, and there's a tiny little kind of locking mechanism that will just attach this and create some butt flaps. So do the same here for this side. Another thing which is going to be different when compared to this model and the final version is the color matching. They did specifically state that all of the mismatched pieces will be perfected on the final version, so if you're worried about the difference between the red, fear not, they are definitely going to work on it. We can then take this grey piece, hinge this open, flip Prime's head forwards and snap that there. Come around to the front and take this, just snap those pieces in. You'll now want to take what were originally the front pieces of the truck, bring those sections out, just angle all of this down just like this, and for some finishing touches, fold out these tiny little panels and then flip out the hands, fold these pieces back up and do the exact same here for this side. And there we have the standard version of Optimus Prime fully transformed up into robot mode. So again, like I said previously, by no stretch of the imagination, a complex third-party figure, yet one which I think results in a very accurate looking version of the character. I mean, this guy looks so insane, especially with the metallic chrome that we've got going on. It's just a really cool, very well built figure. Here is Cybertron Optimus Prime, looking really cool. I think they've done a great job on the design. I mean, as we come around to the back, no excess vehicle mode pieces as you would expect. And this guy is hefty. He weighs a ton, especially here in the base of the figure. There is a lot of die cast. Anything that you're seeing which is reflective is metal, so the knee pads, the skirt piece, as well as these big chunky shin pieces and the metal that we have here in the bottom of the foot. But as we take a look at the details of the head, kind of reminds me of Optimus Primal. I'm not sure if that was the designer's intention when they put this guy together way back in the day, but really think that looks sick. Amazing paintwork. I like the stylized design we have for the chest and just the proportions, and everything appeared to be pretty much on point with this guy. Now we do get a few features. They've kind of borrowed this engineering from Takara, so you can lift the face piece up, rotate this around, and whooshing, he has actually deployed his battle mask, which I think just completely spices up the display, and for this specific version of the character is how I prefer to display him. I think that looks a lot better. But here out of the head we do get a nice swivel, a hinge joint, which can look up and down independent of the face swapping gimmick. We do get some nice heavy duty ratchet joints here out of the shoulders. The pads themselves can hinge up and down. A nice hinge joint going out to the sides, rotation at the bicep, die-cast elbow joints which can bend way past 90 on a double joint, and a little bit of ratcheting wrist swivel. Now the fingers, unfortunately, I have an issue with. Despite them being articulated, which I think is so cool, at least on my copy, literally all of the fingertips have broken. So as I just bring them in here for a closer look, as you can see, the plastic has split on pretty much all of them. Now, these weren't in my notes, so I'll definitely be sending my feedback to Transform and Rollout, hoping they can fix this before they hit the mass production button on this guy. Such a shame, considering the articulated fingers are so awesome, and it's also an issue I have here on this side. It's literally all of the fingertips, so as you can see, they are all cracked, which is such a shame. Now, as we come here to the torso, we lift these pieces out. We do get a nice swivel, a little looser than I'd hope, so maybe they can pack a ratchet joint in that or just adjust the tolerances. The skirt pieces can hinge forwards to allow the hips to kick forwards that far, back to that far, out to the sides. There is a little bit of give in these joints, so again, I'm hoping they can maybe tighten those up. We also do get an ab crunch, which can crunch to a pretty decent range, so can't complain too much about that. We do get a thigh rotation as well as a double jointed knee. Again, completely reinforced by die cast, so that's a great range. And then finally for the foot, it is essentially the front part of the toe, which can rock side to side, but definitely allows you to get this guy in some dynamic poses. So for the most part, decently articulated, but I do just hope before this guy hits mass production that they can fix the plastic on the fingertips. Now, in terms of accessories, if you pop off the tip of one of the cannons that we saw in the trailer mode, you can create this smaller blaster for Prime here in bot mode, which definitely does the trick. You can see we do get two handles, so he can hold it in a few different ways, and we can again bring back in that planet key and have him firing down some of the Decepticons when in battle, which I actually thought was a pretty sick use of some pre-existing components. Here for some robot mode comparisons, we have the Commander of the Stars compared alongside the Magic Square MP scaled version of Optimus, so definitely isn't slacking in size. It's even a little bigger than this guy and way heftier, and definitely has a lot better and thicker plastic, but I still think the Magic Square Prime was one of the best third-party figures I took a look at last year in my opinion. Here it is alongside the Hasbro Cybertron Prime without any of the wing upgrades, so towers over what would be a regular mainline Voyager. And just to round off some Prime comparisons, again we have the Earthrise Leader / Voyager Optimus Prime. So I believe that pretty much wraps up everything here for Prime when in his regular robot mode. So let's get him prepared for the upgrade components. So first of all, you're going to want to come here to the head and just take these antenna pieces, flare them out, which already looks 10 times more badass. We can then come down here to this section, disengage this. Now for this specific mode, you're going to want to make sure that you shift the wheel inwards so that it is a dead flat surface. We can then bring this in, and the sole of the original foot is now going to tab in there. We can peg the toe into place, come around to this side and rinse and repeat, so snap that in there and then just peg that in and click that in there. Now personally, a step which they don't show in the instructions, which I would highly advise you do, would be to take the shoulders and extend those out. It's just going to make attaching that jetpack way easier. Now coming to the wing assembly, this is literally how I left it after I removed it from the truck, so I haven't changed anything. Let's get into the transformation for this. So first of all, I would recommend to just hinge these guns out of the way. They are enormous, so please excuse me if I bang into the microphone or the camera at any point, but some of the notes that I was specifically sent over would be to be careful of these locking mechanisms. So when you disengage the wings from this back piece, you are supposed to hinge upwards first of all and then outwards. So there is a tiny little hook. If you just try and pull it out, you're more than likely going to snap that plastic, so bring that out to the side. Do the same here for this side, so just hinge that upwards first of all. We can then rotate these wings here all the way around and straighten those out. Do the same here for this side, and then just take the cannons, flip those to the back for now. You'll then want to take these additional braces, hinge these sections forwards, and that is more or less the jetpack ready for installation. You'll then want to bring back in your Galaxy Prime and then take these sections, which we too removed from the trailer previously, and these are just going to lock into the back of the legs. They create for some additional heel spurs and fill out some of the hollowness here, so just align these sections up until everything clicks into place. Come around to this side and rinse and repeat. So let's just snap those sections in, and now we can bring in the jetpack. So what's going to happen here is there are two massive tabs here and here, which are going to slide into these big slots on the back, and then these sections here are basically going to slide over the top of those extended shoulder joints just for now. So to showcase what I mean, you're just going to want to shoot those back tabs in first of all. Once you get those locked into place, we can then take the shoulders and push them back in to their original positions and clasp these latches back over those tabs. I just think this is a way easier way to do it. Instead of leaving these in their proper configuration and then flexing the plastic over it, just completely eliminates any risk of breakages. So just snap that in there. And there we have the Galaxy Upgrade Prime with all of the additional attachments, and this thing is absolutely massive. I'm not even sure how I'm going to be able to showcase the full wingspan of this guy, as he's a little bigger than my review station, but there he is in his full entirety, and he looks sick. I mean, not only is this a fantastic looking display piece, but a really cool version of the Galaxy Upgrade Prime. Now, please excuse with how I kind of have him smack bang at the back. This is the only way that I can fit this guy in more or less full frame, so we do get these additional guns, which we can flare forwards, which I thought was really cool. And as you would expect, the massive cannons can also flip forwards, and there are some handles embedded within which you can extend out and kind of try and tab into these tiny slots on the palm. Now, if I'm going to be honest, the connection isn't the greatest, so this too is also something I hope they can kind of get the tolerance a little better for when this guy does finally hit shelves. But yeah, definitely a very mighty and impressive piece. So here for some comparisons in the fully combined form. It's actually quite ridiculous to see how massive this figure is. So we have that Earthrise Voyager / Leader Prime and the Magic Square MP scale version of Optimus, and it's kind of crazy to think that in the regular robot form this was about the same size as this guy, but with the upgrades, not only does he tower over him, but he's much bigger with the wings. I mean, the wingspan truly is nuts. As I just hold this figure up to one of the wings, I'd say he's literally one of the wings. You'd need two of these to match the width of the wingspan, so you're definitely going to need quite a bit of shelf space if you wish to cram this guy into the collection looking like this. And for another comparison, here we have the Siege Galaxy Upgrade Hasbro Optimus Prime, just so you guys can see roughly how they pair next to each other. So, wrapping up on this review for the Commander of the Stars. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with this guy. Now, granted, this is a pre-production copy, and like I said previously, it has a few things which are going to be different to the regular mass release version, but not too much. I think the size of the figure is definitely pretty impressive in all of the modes. I mean, the vehicle mode is very big, especially if you have the trailer attached. He's very hefty due to the enormous amount of diecast packed in the legs, which is great for bot mode, especially when you do have the wing attachments on his back. It just makes him a lot more well-grounded, and then when we get him transformed up into the regular Optimus, I think he looks great. Really nice posability. My biggest issue with this figure would be the plastic of the fingers. They seem to be super thin, and literally all of the tips have broken, so it can't just be an isolated issue of me perhaps applying too much pressure to one finger, as they're all damaged, which sucks. So I'm hoping they can fix that before they hit the go button on this guy, and then we attach some of the trailer pieces to him to make him the Galaxy Upgrade Prime, and my, he's just such an amazing and enormous display piece. The wingspan alone is crazy. I wasn't expecting this guy to be nowhere near as big as he is. I mean, you guys saw he just about fitted in my review station, which is saying something because it's quite a big piece. But yeah, I'm impressed. I like the LEDs. I think the cannons are cool. I like the ratchet joints. The tolerances, for the most part, appear to be pretty much on point. So this is a really cool figure. Awesome to see some more third-party Transformers Cybertron figures out there. I'd love to get your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you guys think of this guy? Is it one that you plan on adding to the collection? And if you are looking to pick it up, be sure to check out that pre-order link down in the description box below. As always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.